Welcome to Chicago Bulls Chat with Sea Red UK. This podcast is part of the Fans First Sports Network. Wherever or however you're listening, make sure to rate, review and subscribe. It helps us out and means you never miss another episode. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the thumbs up button and leave some comments for us to get back to. And for all the Sea Red UK action, check out the Discord channel and across the socials. Now, over to your hosts, Matt Hearn and Neill Dunn.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Matt, and as always, joined by Neill. How are we doing, Neill?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. So that'll become apparent as the episode goes on.
Yeah.
We'll start where we always do, I guess, with a quick recap of the last week or so. Obviously, we're recording this one a little bit later than anticipated due to real life. But obviously, since the last episode, Bulls have beat Spurs 139-124. Then they lost to Pacers 132-123, and then they lost to Sixers 108-100. Prediction-wise, I just basically got Spurs and Sixers the wrong way around, and you got the Sixers one wrong.
Yeah.
It was a stressful few games, wasn't it? The Spurs one was quite enjoyable. Everyone's making out that obviously they didn't have Wemby, and that changes things, which obviously it does. But you got to remember, Bulls didn't have PWill, Kobe, and Lonzo. So at the end of the day, Spurs still had CP3, Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sochan. I can't remember who else they've got, but it's not a G League team the way people were making it out to be. And then I think the next two games you just kind of saw what Bulls were, really. If the offense isn't working, then the defense just doesn't work either.
No, it didn't pick up the slack anyway, that's for sure.
No. And I mean, what did you make of the three games? I know the Pacers one in particular you struggled with because it took you about 5 days to watch it.
It really did. I had a bit of an issue with losing power. There was a storm here in Ireland, and in the middle of the game, the power was gone. And before the game, the power was playing up, and then I've had very little battery in both my iPad or my phone, so I just watched what I could until they died, and they both pretty much died at the same time. I suppose I should have used the sense of watching on one and not using the other one, but I was texting in the group with the phone and watching on the iPad, so they kind of both hit at the same time, more or less. But real life gets in the way, as we've often said. It's very, very difficult to catch up on a game or watch a game around my home life, constantly being dragged one way or the other, and it's almost impossible. So I got a real taste of what it's like trying to follow up the game the next day if I don't watch it live, hence why I try to watch every game live. And then didn't help then that the next game was at 6 p.m. UK time, Irish time, and trying to watch it again. I took myself off into the room here where I record and watched it on the computer. I thought everyone will leave me alone. And within about 10 minutes of the game, the entire family decided there was nowhere else to be in the house except for in the same room that I was in. It's like, what's going on? Like, leave me alone. Just let me watch the game. I'm not used to them being around. So it's been a bit of a struggle to kind of watch the games this week. But look, the Sixers game, Embiid decided that it was time to start playing basketball, and the Bulls just didn't have an answer for him in the second quarter, and that was it, really.
Yeah, and obviously Tyrese Halliburton in the Pacers game decided he was going to remember that
exactly
standard. So, one thing I've noticed is the Bulls are getting a lot of praise for obviously the pace they're playing at, the amount of threes they're putting up. I mean, I don't know what it is off the top of my head where the standing pace, 3-point attempts and 3 points made. But to me, that's led to a problem, and it's everybody's standing around the arc. And this is what I remember saying on another episode: is that what we really want to see? Everybody just standing on the arc, waiting for the ball to come to them and going, right, my turn to shoot a three. Yeah, great. You're putting up the attempts, but you're not hitting a lot of them. And then what the problem is, there's nobody in the paint to rebound it.
That's it.
And it's the same when we go down the other end. We struggle to get rebounds as well. And it leads to a lot of second chance points. And obviously, there's a lot of one and done sort of stuff between like Zach, Kobe, whoever it is that runs the ball up. And like I think you've highlighted it before, especially with Zach. Yeah, it's great getting up the court that quick and taking a pull up three, but if you're going to miss it, you need your teammates there to get the ball. Yeah. And it just seems like there's no plan B, and that's.
But in fairness, right, and this isn't. I suppose this is more of a critique of the NBA as it is now, more than anything else, more so than Zach or the Bulls. But that's the way the game is being played now. It's the way everybody seems to be playing the game. Run the court quick as you can, jack up a three. And look, it's impressive when you go on a hot streak and you start knocking them down. But then you've got these big lulls in games where people aren't hitting their shots, but that's still how it's being played. And in my opinion, right, and I know you've said this before and you blame Steph Curry for it, and maybe that's where you could find the source, but it is a copycat league, right? Everybody knows that. Anybody knows that it's a copycat league. And I can't wait for the trend to change again, because at the minute, it feels like it's kind of killing the NBA. Just as the NBA was beginning to kind of gain traction again in the eyes of non-NBA fans. And I just feel like, I mean, we've seen it, right? And it's something we're going to possibly get into, but we've seen it from a Bulls standpoint in recent months, maybe even a bit further back. Fans are disinterested again. Fans are losing connection with the team. They're losing connection with their fandom a bit, and more so than they were. And look, I know the Last Dance during COVID really invigorated that again in Bulls fans in particular, but it just feels like it's losing traction again, and it's a pity.
Yeah, I mean, you see clips all the time on Instagram where not necessarily a Bulls, but different NBA teams where one team's gone down one end, brick to three. The other team goes down, pulls up, bricks a three. Back down the other end, bricks a three, and it's just like, is this what you're paying these multi-millionaires all that money for? Or, and it, when it works, fine, it works. But when it's not, it's like teams don't. Well, it's like they've forgotten how to play basketball. I mean, they can't play defense, which suits Bulls because we can't play defense. So it's I guess you got to give Adam Silver credit because he is trying to change things, but it's are they the right changes? And I mean, it seems to have took Bulls God knows how many years to finally catch up to playing this modern NBA style of bricking threes, but not bricking threes, but bricking more threes. But yeah. Anything else on the 3 games?
No, I don't think so, really. I mean, the only observation that I would say that I've come up with is that is Kobe White ever going to find himself? Because I'm just waiting for that game, and it's just not happening. He just seems to be staying in this kind of lost kind of position, and doesn't seem to be finding any kind of form as a result.
Yeah, I listened to a podcast this week, and someone said it's like he's still. I think it was Will Perdue on CHGO said it's like he's still struggling with the. I won't use the word I used on Twitter the other week, but ankle. He's like ankle injury that seems to be
Persistent injury.
yeah. Because obviously the word I used on Twitter got took out of. Oh, hello. Got
Sorry,
took
my
out of
watch decided to
context,
start talking to me.
and
Yeah.
yeah, obviously it was seen as racist, but there was no. Yeah, just shut up.
No,
Um,
it wasn't a racist slur or comment, or it's an English word
yeah,
that has several letters that are the same as a racial slur, but it is a completely independent word from what it was being taken by some people.
yeah, um, yeah. So I can see that. You know, obviously I've mentioned it myself that he's struggling with these little nagging injuries. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to harp on too much about Kobe, to be fair, because I think we've sort of beat that one as much as we can.
Yeah.
And obviously over the weekend we kind of got called out for being too critical of certain players because you know we're the only ones that are critical of players apparently.
Yeah. Only ones.
Sorry, can you hear me? Hear me? Sorry.
I can hear you just fine.
Yeah, that's all right. Cheers. Anyway, moving on. Obviously, we've had a bit of a break this week from Bulls. It's
Yeah.
allowed Bulls to get some practice in. Some would say much needed practice, including Billy. Um, they've had some kids teams in doing stuff, and apparently they've used these days as a bit of a mini training camp. The
Mm-hmm.
first time they've had a chance to really practice since training camp, which is just mad.
Yeah.
Um,
Says it all.
and obviously we've had news that like PWill's close to his return. Josh Giddey's sat out practice today with tightness in his lower
Lower
back.
back, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's appeared on the IR a few times in these last few games, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. But
Didn't
he's
look,
played.
yeah, it didn't look good, particularly good against Spurs and Pacers, but then Billy took him out as he does in the fourth against Sixers, and it was like, that's probably the wrong decision, Billy. I think it was a 1.3 rebounds off another triple double.
Yeah, Billy doesn't want him to get that triple double, does he?
No. And for me, he was playing solid enough defense as well in that game.
He was.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, he got a good chase down block, and to me, at the minute, Giddey's not looking any worse or any better than anybody else defensively. He's just looking part of the team defensively. You know, when Giddey's on the bench, they still look shocking defensively. So, you know, but anyway, um, yeah, obviously PWill close to his return, which has got people asking, do you still start PWill? He's going to be on a slight minute restriction as well. I think 20 to 24 minutes.
Yeah.
Or do we get what the fans want and start Booz Ellis at the 4, who has also come out and said that him and PWill have played a lot together in this training and
Right.
won a lot of games or something along them lines. So do you play them both together? Do you play one or the other? Do you if you're going to play them both or start them both, who are you dropping? It's, you know what I mean? And this is all stuff that Billy's got to work out, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it
Because
is. And what's to say that Billy doesn't continue with the way he has been running the starting five? Do you know, without PWill, he
with
hasn't been
4
put
guards,
Bezelis in there, 4 guards. And there's, this is Billy Donovan who likes a small guard lineup. So who's to say that he doesn't leave Io in and play as he's been playing and bring PWill off the bench that way and Mattis off the bench that way? It doesn't necessarily mean now that PWill's back that all of a sudden it's a fight for the 4 position between Mattis and PWill. There's already been somebody else starting there anyway, right?
Yeah. I mean, to me, everyone puts too much emphasis on the starting lineup. We've said that time and time again. It's not about who. I mean, all right, yeah, your starting lineup can maybe get you in front. You could be 10 points down, as Bulls tend to do, or whatever. So to me, it's about how many minutes the players get. You know, like Ayo was getting more minutes than Giddey coming off the bench.
Yeah.
You know, and it's about the in-game adjustments for me in terms of lineups, and that's what Billy's seems to be struggling with. Like you've always said with Billy, it's I've got a plan. You're playing there, you're playing that many minutes, and that is it. I don't care if you get hot, you coming off after 5 minutes. I don't care if you're cold, you staying out there because you know that's what I've decided. And obviously that was like I just said in the Sixers game with Giddey. You know, you didn't need Giddey out there if you really don't want him to close a game. Didn't need him out there in the last 3 minutes, but have him from that 7 to 3 minutes where he was impacting the game. And then if the game's a bit closer, like it's a clutch game as such, and you don't trust Giddey, then take him out. Do you know what I mean? But while the game's in full flow, work with the lineups that's working. You know, use them. You know, because like the amount of times you see him keep Kobe out there, and Kobe's taking like logo threes and bricking them and jumping in the air and turning it over, and Zach's bringing the ball up and dribbling it off his foot and all that sort of stuff. You know, it's yeah. I mean, do you see a lineup where PWill and Brasilis play together?
Not as starters. I don't see it as starters, but I do see it happening down the line within the flow of the game. But then again, like you just said, and we've said before, if Billy already has a game plan, he may very well not deviate from that. So unless he's kind of already planned to put the two of them in at some point, it may not happen.
Yeah. And obviously this week, with it being a quiet week, there's been quite a lot of talk about trades.
Yeah.
Vooch and Zach, are they all stars, or should they be all stars? I mean, I'm not going to mention Vooch because I apparently can't. You know, I mean, I'm not getting into trade talk because you could be here all night discussing possible trades and will Zach leave, will Vooch leave, will Torrey Craig leave. At the end of the day, nobody knows what's going on. All these NBA insiders, Jake Fisher, Brian Windhorst, or whatever he's called, they don't know anything. Do you know what I mean? They can say that they've spoke to so and so, a certain exec, all that sort of stuff. Don't mean anything, because as we've learned with AK in particular, he don't tell you anything until it happens. You know, and what's to say? I mean, yeah, they might speak to these execs and front office staff and all that like they say they do, but they're only going to tell them what they want them to hear. You know, just because, say, like the Lakers front office say, we've heard there's no market for Zach LaVine, doesn't mean that the Warriors front office aren't looking at Zach LaVine.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So that's why I don't pay any attention to what people like Fisher and that say. I mean, I don't think he's ever got anything right. Doesn't report anything. And he makes a point of saying that. I'm not reporting this.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So why do people
listen to me anyway?
Yeah.
Well, you know, actually, I don't know if you saw it, but KC Johnson just on a kind of little bit for CHSN, and he was giving his opinion on Zach LaVine trades, and he mentioned that he expected the likes of Orlando Magic to be someone that would be possibly interested, But again, it seemed even coming from Casey Johnson, it's like that. It's like these are possible suitors. It's not this is what's going to happen, or rumors are this is the way it's going to go. It's just this is where it could work. Not that this is happening.
It's basically a basketball brain looking around the league, seeing, like
what makes
Magic.
sense.
Yeah, Magic. They've lost Banchero and Wagner to the same injury for God knows how long. So Zach could become a target if they can make it work. Lakers. The latest thing is that they're open to talking about LeBron being moved and taking Bronny with him. So it's, you just
2 for 1.
I mean, obviously that's not why Bronny's in the league because of LeBron at all. But if LeBron
Absolutely
leaves,
not.
then no. I mean, yeah. It's just I like I say, I don't pay much attention to what they say. We've said it time and time again until it's used to be a Woj bomb, Shams bomb, and finally reported by KC. Any trade talks, stuff like that, it's people speculating, not reporting. And I mean, we could put something out and say that we've spoke to somebody and we've heard that, I don't know, Pistons are going to be interested in Levine again. I mean, it's fucking true. It's just what I've heard, apparently. Maybe.
Yeah. But I'm not reporting it.
No.
Not reporting it. I've just heard.
But yeah, obviously also this week, with a bit of downtime, it's allowed, as we just mentioned, Casey Johnson to have a chat with Josh Giddey on the CHSN podcast. Was it By the Horns?
By the Horns, yeah.
And obviously, to start it, Casey made a point of highlighting the fact that it wasn't going to be about basketball. It was to humanise Josh Giddey. And if you haven't listened to it, go check it out. It was a decent enough chat. Get to know Giddey a little bit more and a bit more about how his career started out in Australia with Rambo. I mean, his dad as his coach. And that's it. It's a good chat. I mean, I'm not a Giddey stan. I'm a Giddey fan. So to hear about him off the court, I think for me, it was quite interesting anyway.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it too.
I mean, the only sort of thing I can really remember from it is Casey asking him about how many coats he's got or jackets, and it depends if you're Welsh or English, whatever. And obviously, was it 200? And he made a joke about wanting to borrow one, and
yeah,
I think Casey would look quite good in a Josh Giddey jacket.
Yeah. Let's see if he wears it. If he takes it up on what you said to him about wearing one of his next time he's interviewing.
Yeah. So yeah, that pretty much brings us up to date. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to mention that I've forgotten about, or
no. I found that whole Josh Giddey thing quite interesting too. I like the way he kind of talked about how he had to go through the rapid maturity of suddenly finding himself going from heading for, what was it, the NBL? Is it NBL over in Australia as being that's what he'd set his sights on, to within a year and a half he'd gone from that to the NBL to the NBA, and suddenly living on his own and having to deal with all the grown-up stuff. It was quite interesting to hear that kind of thing, that rapid maturation of him.
Yeah, and then obviously he come over for was it Basketball Without Borders at the All-Star game in 2020 in Chicago. That was obviously his first trip to Chicago as well, and apparently at that time they was having a very cold spell, and it was a bit of I can imagine for him coming from Australia, it was a bit of a rude awakening.
Shock to the system.
Yeah, but yeah, like I say, if you haven't you haven't listened to it, check it out. By the Horns,
Yeah, it's good.
part of CHSN. So yeah, have you got anything else? I mean, it's been a bit of a slack week, hasn't it?
It has, yeah, in every way.
Obviously, we're Hornets tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then Raptors on Monday/Tuesday for us. The next two games, they're the extras that we've got after being booted out of the cup. Yeah, you kind of expect 2 wins, maybe.
You would expect it, especially Lamelo's out again, isn't he?
Yeah, and Scotty Barnes has just
and Scotty
been,
Barnes as well. Yeah, you're right.
So
it's
I
two
think,
major players from each team. So
yeah,
well, one from each team.
Yeah, so it depends if you want Bulls to win or not, whether it's a good thing.
This is it.
So yeah, as we've kind of alluded to at the start, we've got a bit of an announcement to make. Quite a big one, and it's something that's sort of been on the back burner since the off season, really, isn't it? Kind of struggled a little bit in the off season. Struggled a couple of weeks ago with it, and we've come to the decision that, well, we're going to be out indefinitely. Is a basketball way of putting it.
Yeah.
No, it is mainly my decision. You're just coming along for the ride as usual. It, for me, work's just gone mad, and I just don't have the time to do stuff the way that we've been doing it. As in the podcast, all the social side of stuff. And I kind of felt like I need a bit of a break off the socials as well, because they've just gone far too toxic, and obviously just get dragged into stuff, and been called a racist. And sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah. I mean, I've had this name for 40 years, and autocorrect's never corrected here to Hearn. But anyway, aside, yeah, we're not putting a time frame on it. We don't know if it's for good or whatever. But for now, this is going to be the last podcast, and the socials are going to be. The accounts will still be there, but as in C-Red UK accounts, but not particularly active for the time being anyway. It's just basically the creator side I'm struggling with, time-wise, if that's what you want to call it. Because obviously, like I say, work's got a lot busier. I've got a lot going on in my personal life as well that kind of needs more attention. So yeah, obviously something's got to give, and unfortunately, it's this for now. Like I say, I'm not saying it's for good. We were going to take a break at Christmas anyway, but we've just kind of decided to do it earlier and possibly for longer. Yeah, I mean, obviously, is there anything you wanted to say on that side of it?
No, not really. We've been doing this now for the guts of what, close to 4 years, isn't it?
C-Red UK is the pod for 2.
Yeah, but the whole group and everything itself, the pod for 2 years, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I do enjoy it. It is time consuming. My wife doesn't always like how much time I get consumed by it, but that being said, it's always been something I thoroughly enjoy, and I've always enjoyed chatting Bulls with you on this platform. Hopefully, we get to do it again. But look, I'm still going to be around. You're still going to be around, and obviously we'll be in touch with each other on a private level. But the only thing I will say is I know deep down how much you have enjoyed doing this. So if there is anybody out there listening that is not happy with Matt's decision, get on the socials, put the pressure on him, make him feel like shit for saying he'd had enough, and make him feel loved, and who knows what will happen.
Yeah, and this isn't us or me saying I'm not watching Bulls, because I'll still be watching every game live.
Oh no, every game.
That's something that's not going to change, and it's got nothing to do with Bulls being Bulls. I say it is just changes to personal circumstances and work been too hectic and kind of having to focus more on my proper job. Because unfortunately this doesn't pay us. I mean, obviously we are going to keep our Discord there with the live thread, because that's why the whole thing started in the first place, was for somewhere to chat with other like-minded people. So the Discord will be there still. Like I say, the social media accounts will still be there. They just won't be getting posted on See Red Wise anyway. Obviously, you've got your Twitter account. Mine will still be there, but I don't really use mine, to be honest, anyway. Maybe we'll do a bit more to interact with people. And yeah, I think that's about everything covered in that sense, and it is. It's not the end of See Red UK. It's just a bit of a timeout. Try and get a few other things in order first, and try and work out how we come back, maybe, or when we come back. And look, we're not the first ones that have struggled with this in terms of fan accounts, especially here in the UK. I mean, until you do it, you don't realise just how time consuming it is. And it's like I mentioned to you before, in some ways it kind of takes away the enjoyment of being a fan out of it for me, because I'm more concerned about trying to create something than just actually enjoy Bulls. But obviously that was just my personal sort of take on it. And yeah, I say we will still be watching. We will still be around on the socials. I probably won't be for a little bit. Like I say, I need a bit of a timeout from it, a bit of a cleanse, maybe. And yeah, that's pretty much it on our announcement.
Yeah, just a big thank you to anyone and everyone that's got involved with us, to all the guests we've had on the pod, to anyone that comes onto the live thread. Please do still keep coming onto the live thread. We will be there, and hopefully we'll revive this at some point in the future.
Yeah, I mean, just obviously what you said there. Obviously, thanks to everyone who has come on. Thanks to everyone that's shown us any kind of support, whether it's on the socials, through the pod. It has been a good 4 years. I think we've experienced quite a lot in terms of who we've spoke to. Obviously, going to Paris.
For sure.
I mean, we even ended up speaking to Andre Drummond, and which for two guys in Europe to get this sort of level of interaction with Bulls Nation and stuff like that we have. The fact that we've got to speak to KC, Tim Sinclair, obviously CHGO boys, it does mean a lot, and it has been greatly appreciated and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, like I say, we could be back. Just treat us like Lonzo Ball. Will we be back? When will they be back? Are they coming back? Yes, they're coming back. Are they coming back? Who knows? Yeah. So, like I say, just reiterate, thanks for everyone's support. If you want to question my decision, as Neill's just said, and try and make me change my mind, then feel free. You might not get a reply, but you know, it depends if I can earn you or not.
Yeah. On that note.
Yeah. So let's say on that note, that's it. No episode next week.
No big outro. Just no. This is it.
Once again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. You know, you can still subscribe. The channel will still be there. Obviously, if you celebrate, enjoy your Christmas. If you don't, just enjoy the food. And yeah, as always, I've been Matt. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You will find me on Twitter at MattSearedUK, and SearedUK will still be on all the socials at SearedUK. And yeah, over to you.
Yeah, and I'll still be knocking around all over the place at Neill Seared UK. I won't change my handle. I'll keep it the same. Thanks to everything we've gotten from the Fans First Sports Network as well. And of course to all of Seared UK Nation for tuning in throughout. And keep an eye. You may very well see us coming back again at some point in the future. Do remember, it's a Chicago Bulls thing wherever in the world you are. Until next time, if there is one, see red people, go Bulls.